Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the second episode of our Citizens Chat, where we have the citizens of Uganda, the professionals, the academia, discussing issues of national importance, trying to shape the discourse of the country, trying to drive the agenda of the country. This is a conversation that we all as citizens need to embrace. So today we've been following our conversations, being the second episode of our conversation. I have the academia, and we'll be discussing the space around the institutions of higher learning and what happens there. Our discussion today will be discussing the crisis in higher institutions of learning, characterized by industrial actions. Joined on our panel today, we have Dr. Robert Ojambo. He's the PRO of the Forum for Academic Staff of Public Universities in Uganda, FASP. Yeah. Also, we are joined by Ivan Bwowe, who is the former guild president of Makerere University, a lawyer, and a politician. Right after Bwowe, we have Evelyn Ijuka. She's a former guild speaker of Makerere University Business School. She's a youth leader and an author. And we're happy to see you. Then close here we have Dr. Muhwezi Kamunyu, who is the chairperson of the Forum for Academic Staff of Public Universities, but also the chairperson of MUASA. He's been so much in the media with Dr. Ojambo, so we all know these personalities. And the faces we have today are very familiar with us. The discussion today is, of course, on industrial action, so you can follow our conversation on Chat Show Uganda on our social media pages. We are running live on our YouTube pages. We are running live on Facebook, so you can follow the conversation. So I would want to request, starting from here, Dr. Deus, you can just have a greeting to our viewers today.
Good afternoon, viewers. This is not evening. Once again, Deus Kamunyu, the chairperson of MUASA and chairperson of FASIP. MUASA is Makerere University Academic Staff Association, and FASIP is Forum for Academic Staff of Public Universities in Uganda. It's composed of 10 universities at the moment, but we are supposed to be 11, I think, including UMI. And we are currently on an industrial action, which we're looking at unjust pay, which was effected last year, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, Evelyn, you could have a word.
Thank you so much, Demian. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Evelyn Ijuka, and I am a student. I was a student leader. I represented students at UNSA. I represented students later at the National Council for Higher Education. And I think it is true when such matters of national importance are being discussed, there's no way we can distance ourselves from such a discussion. And we hope that in the subsequent talk, we can be able to forge a way forward and advise the nation as per where we think would be the right direction. Thank you.
Ivan?
Thank you so much, Demian. My name is Ivan Bwowe of Uganda. I am former guild president of Makerere University and a member of the University Council. Currently, I am a student, an LLM student at Makerere University, at the center of the industrial action. But I've also participated with the staff over the years when it comes to their welfare and conditions in general. Therefore, it's important that we discuss these matters at all levels and try to to suggest a way forward, because all we want is that we want good environment for our teachers, but we also want a good environment that will enable them teach us well.
Yeah, I remember at the time of your presidency, you used to be at the forefront of these strikes. Yeah?
Yes.
So I think we
Yes.
have something to share there. Yes, Dr. Robert.
Yeah, thank you, Damian. Good afternoon, viewers and everybody there. My name is Ojambo. I speak for FASIP. It's a very difficult moment. It's a very difficult time for our public institutions, especially universities in Uganda, that academic staff are willing to teach, but they can't, and the students are willing to learn, but they can't because of a small thing that has been created by people we don't know.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Let's start from Dr. Deus. You have been at the forefront of these actions, and just not so long ago, you even had some suspensions from the university. All the kind of force was on you, and from the administration at Makerere. I know this is still ongoing. Let's first tell us, what's the cause of constant distractions in universities?
I have always said, and I'll continue to say, that partly it's a failure of leadership at these institutions. And when you, for example, coming from the suspensions that I was just talking about the state of affairs in the institution, unfair recruitments, which have come evident. Some money, going here and there, which are issues of citizenship that I think a normal academic would discuss with ease. But for leaders of institutions that we have at the moment think that's a no-go area is a total failure of leadership. And I'm talking about this because universities lead the civic. And the moment we have a bent thought process as the leader of civic process, then we do not expect too much from the civic. They will just be part of the curfew. And partly the failure of leadership has led to dramatization of affairs at these institutions. But we have remained strong and will continue to remain strong and call upon everyone who calls themselves an academic. Like Nyerere said, if those who went to school not really to escape from poverty but fight it, who I think are elites of today, to remain strong on the journey of fighting poverty and disease, conflicts and wars. And to do so, we must be accountable to each other. Back to FASIP issue at the moment, there was a salary increment ordered by the president in 2014, and Ivan was among the people, and I'm glad he's here, who joined us then in what I think is philosophically right. Because Ugandans have changed a lot in a way that they do no longer know their civic duty. When we have a relationship between students, teachers, and parents, oftentimes when a teacher has a problem, they look at him as an enemy of the entire two. They have never thought about what they want in the first place and who delivers it, and the state in which they can deliver that. So Ivan broke that tradition of being on the sidelines and advocated for what probably was fair to him, not to us, because he may think he favored us, but I can go to a window and just waste time with him and he will go out there raw. So he did what he's supposed to do. And the president offered 15 million pro rata. It's very important, pro rata, down. And we built that pro rata very carefully because we didn't want the pro rata to stampede promotions, because in academia, as opposed to many other places, career progression is very important because we assume that everyone has a thought process that they want to advance over years to either on national or international system of discussion or philosophy. So it's very important for people to be promoted. So if you undermine that pro rata, then it means you have undermined the careers of academic staff. So each category had a difference of 1 million in between them. Professors, associate professors, senior lecturers, till down. So the 15 million pro rata meant that there was which would then allow smooth flow of, because if, for example, you put a huge difference between a category, let's say senior lecturer and associate professor, of about 5 million, it means you would need 900 million a year to promote only 10 people. And we're talking about an academic population of about 1,500 in Makerere alone. So if you have 1,100 staff applying for promotion to associate professor, it means you'll have a bill of about 7.24 billion or 6 billion per year for promotion. And that hampers promotions because government will not give you that money on a yearly basis. But with a small bill, let's say equivalent of 100 people per year, but at 1 million per person, you'll have a bill which is affordable, about 1.32 billion to promote, which is affordable. And so we built that pro rata aware that it would facilitate growth and is important for the well-being of our staff. And so I wouldn't want people to dramatize these issues without capturing that for the benefit of our audiences. And so when it came to 2016 to give 15 million, it was not possible, Bwowe remembers. And then we sat, and like we always do, and reviewed it 3 years. But after 3 years, it also failed. We sat and reviewed 2 years. So last year we met the President, His Excellency, the President, State House in Entebbe, and agreed that this matter should be settled once and for all, and ordered all the ministries to concerned to make sure they look for this money and deal with academic issue once and for all, enhancement. And then it is on that basis, when COVID came, only 50 billion out of 179 billion that was supposed to deal with this issue once and for all was secured in the budget. Now what we hear, what the ministry and other people we know did, was to give this money to only one category. The Vice Chancellor has got 65% increment. The Deputy Vice Chancellor has got 64% salary increment. The professors got 56. And then the rest of the staff, who are the majority, 2,700 out of 3,100, got only 7% increment. And it is that pay injustice that we are dealing with now. And we are saying, let's deal with this gap once and for all now. And we stop, and then we teach the students as they wish, and we serve the country as
Thank you, Doctor. We shall dig deep into that further. I want to come back to IFA. You have been central into these industrial actions. You've, like a university students leader, joined the staff. Do you think it's enough? Do you think that is, first tell us what are the causes that also really cut across to the students that really bring you people to join the action?
I would want to agree with the doctor that it's a leadership issue. However, I do not want to agree that it only ends at the institution, the leadership of the institution. It actually goes. It is horizontal in nature and vertical, because when you look at that issue, I was at the center actually on 21st August 2014 to reach those fees, and I want to remind the public and everyone watching there is that the calculations were made pro rata, as Doctor said, and at that point the issue was not actually with the administrators, the administration. The issue was with the academic staff, and it is very clear. Surely, I was in that meeting. I want to say that I pride myself in leading the negotiations, of which that meeting also had university administrators and a few staff, Dr. Ageya and Dr. Ireta. And it is sad that at the moment I am at pain as a student of what has not been done right. So it's, when we talk about leadership, I don't want it to be at the university level, because what stopped then, because I was aware of the phasing, I was not aware of the percentages on where the increment was going to be. But what happened to the Ministry of Finance and Education in implementing as discussed in that 21st August 2014 meeting? In the budgets, there are budget circulars that are made by the Ministry of Finance, and the budgeting starts, departments and all that, and then the University Council approves the budget, which is later sent to, with the caps and all that. What is the role of the staff in the budgetary processes at the public institutions level?
Okay, we shall get that.
So what I'm trying to say is that we have to own up, Ali, and we have to do things right and make sure we fall through right to the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Finance as well. But it is unfortunate that at the moment I am a student at Makerere, and the issue is as to why I cannot study is because what I negotiated is not pulled into full force. It's a disappointment.
Okay. Dr. Ojambo,
Yeah.
you're the PR of the forum, but also you're at Kyambogo. What is your situation? Is it any different from Makere's in this?
Yeah, Damian, the situation right now, as I started earlier, is really, it's not good for our country. Yeah, because education is not for ourselves. Education is normally for the well-being of society. At Kyambogo right now, of course the students are there. Today they are carrying out their elections. They are peaceful. They are electing their leaders, something which we have really struggled that they do. Somebody was really opposing it. They're electing their leaders, but learning is not taking place. That's the pain we have. I want to start off from where Ivan stopped, and really I want to thank you, Ivan, and the young lady there, that you are concerned about these matters that affect our country. I know young people, many of them in this country now think these are useless things, they don't affect them. But I think what you're doing is a very good thing. I want to assure you that in 2014, I was already working in Kyambogo University. At that time, I was a little guy serving as a teaching assistant. And we were very, very happy to hear that that thing had been, because what you discussed for Makerere later was made for all public universities in Uganda. But what surprised me in 2015, when the first budget statement was released, there was nothing. So we had to again carry branches and say President promised, and you see, so the PST put there 50 billion. And that's how this pro rata distribution now came, because at first it was supposed to be 300 billion, which would cater for academic staff, leaders of local government, and some religious leaders. It was 3 categories of people. So this money is not released, they released 50. And we said, man, it was supposed to be more than this. So later we understood and said, okay, 50 is the one which is there. The next one will come next year. 2016-17. 2016-17, it was the same thing. In other words, viewers and people who are listening to us, there is no year that we have ever gotten this money without raising our voice. So they gave another one, and it was very small. Until now, we agreed that why don't we phase it? And we phased it in a period of 5 years, which was supposed to end 2020. Yeah. As my chairman said, we were invited to State House. At that time, we had the same complaint, and the president categorically said that I want to close this matter. And I remember at that time the chairperson of FASIP was Dr. Rubare from Kyambogo University, was not allowed even to speak. The president took up. He was like the chairperson of FASIP. He said, whoever wanted to speak, he says, keep quiet. I want this money be paid. So guys, we have sorted out this. When it came to the budget statement again, the first call, budget call, there was nothing. We started making noise. That's how they put the 50 billion. What my chairman forgot is that there was a first circular which came out on 2nd of April, and that circular had distributed that 50 billion pro rata. A few days, on 6th of the same month, another circular came, and now it had distributed it the way it was later paid. We gave a red flag. We said, no, if the government does not have 179 billion, it has only gotten 50. We know we have a problem, because at that time we were already in lockdown or COVID. We said, we understand, distribute that money pro rata. The powers that be, and I guess between Ministry of Education and Ministry of Public Service, decided to do it the way they did it. We told them we are not going to accept this. We went, spoke to the Permanent Secretary of Public Service. She didn't give us any hearing. We spoke to the Permanent Secretary of Education. He gave us a hearing, but it was vague. At the end of the day, they paid the money. When they paid, we said, okay, you have paid our colleagues. They are our colleagues, but also make sure that you pay the others. You can imagine, because the budget year begins on 1st July. Yeah. From 1st July, we have been making this call, and we thought they would give us a supplementary, but because of COVID, we really understood that it was difficult. Now, when it came last year in August, we were already in an industrial action, which was declared in May of last year. The president said the finalists were going back to the institutions to finish their courses. I remember we had a meeting in Kyambogo, all public universities, the executive committee, and majority of the members were saying, we are not going to teach. No. We are in industrial action. I remember my chairman literally arms twisting us. He's seated there. And we accepted. We said, when a leader says something, you listen to him. So we went back, we taught the finalists, and they did their exams and went away. So we knew that by this time, when the budget process began, this problem is going to be sorted. When the first budget call came out, there was nothing. We wrote a letter immediately to the Minister of Education. We later wrote a letter to the President of the Republic of Uganda. We wrote a letter to the Permanent Secretary and the Minister of Public Service. And we have talked to all powers that be. I want to agree with him that this, the administrative staff of the university, the administrators of the university have not been in this thing. In fact, they have been watching from aside. And indeed, it had sorted out their problems. If they were very good people, they would be very glad that government was dealing with their problems that were affecting them earlier. Because with this enhancement improved, these small pays in the university are no longer a big problem. Because people are willing to abandon those ones, and we do our work. So viewers, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very serious matter that anybody who is serious would look at it with a very keen, because as my chairman said, it has caused a lot of division at the university. Right now, professors and the people who are lower, out there people think that everybody in the university is a lecturer. No, lecturer is just one of the ranks. There is a professor, associate professor, senior lecturer, assistant lecturer, and a teaching assistant down there. So there are those, and in academics they are respected like in religion, like you would see bishop and so on and so forth. So when we are working together, but in a very, they have put us in a very difficult situation. The issue here is not money. The issue is the difficult situation that you have put these people, that each group think the others are their enemies, which is not a good thing. Then to the learners, when teaching is a very complicated thing. The mind must be fine for somebody to go and deliver, because it doesn't begin at the blackboard or in the laboratory or wherever you are. The thing begins on a preparation table, and the preparation table should be in a way that somebody is in a very good mind. So we feel that the powers that be, if really they thought that education is a very serious thing in this country, this matter would have been sorted yesterday.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ojambo. Maybe let's have a take from Evelyn. You a guild speaker and you used to speak for the students.
Absolutely.
now there is a concern that these industrial actions out of failure of administration and so. But one would want to say that possibly it could be a neoliberal belief that possibly we need to break down. You know, do you think universities should be allowed to operate privately from government so that?
I think, thank you, Demian. Thank you to everybody that has made the submission. I want to first of all mention that the cries of the lecturers and the issues at the universities, public or private, have been cries that have been around for some time. How about the stakeholders came together and forged the way forward once and for all? Because they have legitimate reasons. If you compared them with the regional counterparts, surely we know that as a country we are not up there. Yet we need this service. It's a service. But also, whereas we stand with the lecturers, whereas we stand with the universities, I must also stand with this student, this young student, this Ugandan, this citizenry that is at its prime, that is here to seek knowledge. I must also remind the lecturers that it's a service. Education is a service. We understand that you need whatever you need to actually deliver this service efficiently, but it's a service at the end of the day. Just like if you went to the hospital, the prime reason you're there, or maybe the reason as to why these doctors are there, they're to give a service, the same as teachers. We stand with you, we want your issues to be sorted, but we want you to level with us as students. We have dealt with the effects of COVID. Now is about time that people are going back to school. Students are reporting back to school. And remember, these effects of COVID have not gone away. The parents are struggling to raise that tuition. Now this parent has raised the tuition, the child is back to school, and there is no learning happening. You must stand with these students. You must stand and condole with these parents that are looking for this money to clear the tuition. And there's a percentage, I remember as a student leader, there was a percentage you needed to have paid for you to sit the papers. Now, if a student or a parent has struggled to raise that, I think we need to do some soul searching and try to do some balance, to strike a balance and deliver this service to this country. Now, I would want to bring to your attention these post-COVID effects. At what cost is this industrial action? At what cost to the girl child? We are postponing the time they're not going to be in school because of the strikes. What is this going to have? We already have so many issues. Dropouts are high. They are really high. The girl children out there that are experiencing so much, that are going through so much, that are dropping out to even just get married. Now we are lucky that COVID has sort of toned down and they have rationalized and said, okay, now we can maybe open schools in a phased manner. And here we are happy that they're leaving home and they're going to get engaged and they become the citizens that they're meant to become, and then the tools are down. At what cost is this industrial action? At what cost is this putting down the tools? Now, as the student, we want to study, but also we stand with the people that are going to deliver this service. I wish, as Evelyn Naijuka, I wish to ask any stakeholder, if it is the president, if it is the ministry, if it is the line minister, if it is anybody, the administration, everybody that is concerned, forge a way forward. Forge a way forward. If it is the president, Your Excellency, we ask you, they have cried enough. Forge a way forward. It's a service, and it is like the core service for this country. We have studied, I have a master's in oil and gas management. If I didn't have good lecturers, if I didn't have somebody that did this and this and did outdone themselves for me, perhaps I wouldn't have got the first class I got. Now I want everything. I want that for the girl child that has reported in Makerere University Business School, that has reported at Makerere University, that has reported at UCU, that has reported even at any private institution out there. It is a cry, and I know that I when I speak this, I speak even for the parents. You do not part with 1 point something for the child to go to school, only for the lecturers to put their tools down. And they are right. They are right. Please think about the effects that we have had. Think about everything we have gone through as a country. Think about the recovery we are actually getting right now. And sort these issues once and for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Evelyn. You've been, I've heard you've been constantly saying it's a service.
Yeah.
But you know, there is this other belief, you know, that increment in the pay rise would not change much into the industrial action. Even a change of administration would not really stop these industrial actions. There is all that debate, and possibly one would also argue that maybe education should be handled as a commodity other than a service, so that students are taken as clients to. So that what do you?
Fundamentally, as me, as Deus, I think education is a service, more of a service. But as you progress up, somehow, it presents itself also as a commodity of some kind, because then young people parents would not be crying that they are paying lots of money. But I think the service component is also there. On whether the pay increments would deliver on the stoppage of industrial actions in higher education institutions, I say significantly they will, at least on behalf of FASEP. We will, to a very large extent, have a stable living wage that then will allow us to constantly, in the spirit of industrial relations, discuss the other components of our well-being as servants. And so, yes, the increment will significantly reduce the component of agitation in our well-being struggles. But I want you to know, Demian, that pay is not the only motivator, much as it's basic. There are other things. For example, you are not asking whether we have enough data let's on Zoom or whatever, to teach you. You don't know whether we have laptops or whatever, that the university gives us that to teach you. Once again, I don't know whether anyone has thought about the possibility that the learners don't have these gadgets or they don't. So there are other issues that will lead us to agitations once in a while, but this is one of them. But it has potential to significantly reduce the industrial actions in education high education institutions. But maybe also what you need to know is the fact that, for example, as I talk, has it ended? In the UK, the college staff union was on strike after COVID. So and they are striking over pay. Even recently at University in Kenya, they were striking about their clinical allowances in the University of Nairobi. I think I want to deconstruct the view that these strikes have a timing that is very appropriate, as opposed to what the nation in totality is able to do in terms of maintaining a smooth industrial relations function. I don't think people should be totally discreet and say this is proper timing. If it was, then I think these UK chaps whom I think are very up there and probably have better lives than we have, would not be on industrial action after COVID. And our colleagues in Nairobi would also not be. So let's deconstruct that that view that we should have the right timing. There has never been a right timing for inconvenience. It's not there. But maybe strategically, it should be there. We should consider it.
Yeah.
And one way is to make sure, for example, in this case, we are in the budget. Let's say, for example, if someone was saying, no, we don't have money now, we can't have a supplementary budget, but they can also say, okay, we have put you in the budget, something like that. So we should also, and I insist, deconstruct the view that this relationship, the three-tier relationship, should only be tendered by an aggressive academic. It's a very backward view, and it undermines philosophy in all society in all ways, and also provides an environment for politicking, for people to undermine society in general. The three-tier student, parent, teacher, these pillars are key. They're all key in the progress circle. That, for example, when I strike, I aggress, I start to wonder, does the parent really know their role in this three-pillar system? Do students know their role? Do they think I should struggle, then for them they get? And I think we must change. So this is why I agree with my colleague here, that the stakeholders must sit and look for a way of solving this problem once and for all. And these are parents, us, the students, and the government. And like Bwowe said, when it happened, we got a good deal. And to me, strikes, by the way, are not bad. You can tell it to the whole world. Strikes are not bad. To a leader who is serious, they are an invitation to the root causes of problems. Strikes are like smoke. Strikes are like smoke. When you see smoke, you don't start fighting it, kicking it and getting blowers to. No, you look for the source of the smoke and you pour water there. So philosophically, I see people and they begin to start attack Kamunyu. They say he's a bad man. Now I ask myself, can only be a leader leading people, but what are the root causes of their agitation is what I think should preoccupy any serious leader, and should also preoccupy the two pillars, the students and the parents.
Ivan is itching so much too. Thank you, Doctor. He's itching so much.
Well, industrial action, it can either be by staff or by students. Usually, we have not had an experience where it comes from the parents. Or from government, because the students usually speak for the parents, and we extended an olive branch and we spoke for staff.
You have always done that.
But I have not had. Usually, our targets are government instead. But ultimately, all of us are in the same pot together. I want to categorically state that industrial action is actually civil. And I am a very ardent supporter of industrial action. And any university that... universities are special spaces because they are spaces where we have contestation of ideas. And where there is a contestation of ideas, definitely industrial actions is a must. Today, it's about fairness in the pay and taking the initial agreement serious. Tomorrow it will be about students demanding for their marks.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow, if students were in university, students will be demanding for their lecturers to teach because they have paid. So, a university, I do not know of any where we do not have industrial action or we do not have demonstrations or strikes. I do not know if you can tell me any that has never had or does not have any. So, as we solve this problem, there will be another cause that will require the academia to stand up. We will have others that require the students to have their voice. In a minute's time, the students took a stand against government. But also the academia took a stand against the leadership then. It was not that they were not paid well, it's because they thought the country was not headed in the proper direction. And That is the beauty of the civic space of any university. And when it comes to education to being as a commodity or as a product, I think it's unfortunate that we get to discuss that in the contemporary Uganda. We had a time where our education was the best, where all you had to do is to carry yourself to the university and study and get paid an allowance for studying. I am glad I've been taught by lecturers who benefited from that. It is true that we have to sort out deeper problems than pay and than the one of strikes for missing marks, students' welfare. We have to address the whole public education. There is a reason as to why it is public universities and private universities. I think the government should own up. And I think we started messing up as early as the 1990s with the structured adjustment programs. President Mao, Chairman Mao, calls them stomach adjustment programs. I think we have to break down and, as a country, be purposeful and targeted on the kind of education we want to give to the young generation. And that is not divorced from the welfare and good conditions of the staff.
Ivan, maybe we are overly we are not giving possibly a hit on the management also. I need to bring it to Eve. Don't you think that also there could be a failure of management to possibly address some of these? Are they really fronting out the issues and the concerns
There was a time that people would sit down, anticipate any challenges that may come, maybe in their quarterly meetings, maybe as soon as a spark, just like Dr. mentioned, just as soon as a spark came through, people are proactive enough to arrest whatever issues or challenges that are being brought up. Now, it's unfortunate that we have leveled or we have zeroed ourselves to firefighting.
Yeah.
To firefighting. We wait for the associations to either refuse this or refuse that. Now, for me as Evelyn, I would think that it's about time that we got to the basics of management. If it is any issue that we have anticipated, we know that there are issues that have always been recurrent. How about we sat down and did some soul searching, prepared solutions, tailored solutions for them, way ahead of time? Take a very good example of moves. I wouldn't want to divulge into the detail. No, I will distance myself from the detail. But I think we can do better.
Yeah.
We can do better as stakeholders. The management can do better. It can anticipate this. It can sit down. It can tailor solutions, regardless of whatever challenges you're going through as an institution. Regardless of what you may think is that hard. You can sit down and involve stakeholders and forge a way forward and anticipate them rather than firefighting. I am so against firefighting because this is when we are having this. If you're anticipating these issues, then you will know that, oh, okay, the teaching staff have been raising this. What solution is there? Have people followed up to see, for example, what was promised? Is it being implemented, for example? The students, because you see, just that they're striking, the students are going to come up. And gone are the times when I was still speaker, I would be among the first ones fueling it because we have paid our money. We have paid our money. We demand that service. And they will be right to demand for that service. Before you know it, the Gulu people are happening. They are maybe striking. Before you know it, the Mbara people are going to rise up, the students. Before you know it, you hear all these sparks. Yet we could have done something before they, got out of hand. So to management, to association heads, to government, to institution, to mother ministry, Ministry of Education, let's rise to this occasion. Let's guide when we must guide. Let's anticipate these issues. Let's try to give leadership to all these issues that have always, and they're small issues. Well, they're ambiguous, but they're small issues if they're given time. And what is funny, you see, sometimes he mentioned that when doctor gave them some sort of guidance, they took it up even when they weren't really satisfied. Now, he offered leadership. You'll be amazed if somebody offered leadership, how people are willing to just, you know, align themselves with the right thing. So I honestly just call for stakeholders to rise up and do a better job.
Maybe on the issue of MUASA. MUASA has a management problem. In MUASA, we have a special problem there. 6 categories of staff, paid different salaries, employed on different terms, and they have been dramatized by this problem. The staff there, you find you're an associate professor, one is earning 14 million, another one is earning 4. But they're all associate professors. You find a lecturer, one is earning 8 million, another one is earning 900. And so the issue of MUASA
the entry
is really maybe how you came in, maybe some, I don't know. But the issue of MUASA is a management problem. And we have put it before government. We even warned at some point that if it's not solved, we will, in solidarity, work with MUASA as public universities to make sure it's solved. And I think management of MUASA and together with government should solve that problem there. And I want to appeal to the president of Uganda. People down here dramatize us. He's not responsible for all these small things being done at institutional level. There are managers there who are dramatizing, busy focusing on their own survival and dramatizing society. And I think it's not proper, because there's a limit to that also. We cannot be dramatized by fellow citizens who are bent to breaking rules and undermining society, and then causing the other 2 pillars, for example, for innocent people, the students and the parents, to live in a hopeless situation. These problems are created by people who don't want to lead, people who don't want to manage, or when they manage for themselves to survive. And as a result, they dramatize society. They create angry people. They create agitative people. And it's a matter of time. These people will have to speak or come out to agitate. And when they agitate, they affect the innocent children, the innocent parents. So any right-thinking person there, without politicking, should offer leadership and management to these issues. And we deal with them once and for all. And also offer an arm of industrial relations. That's why it was, industrial relations was born, as a branch of human resource management science, to manage, increasingly manage consensus, such that strikes are no longer, or agitations are not, such that you agree before even problems arise.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you. Let me just let's dig deeper with Dr. Ojambo. Universities are run by a multi-sectoral approach with a combination of many talents. Yeah. What role should each key player concentrate on in this line?
As if you were just thinking what I was going to say. And this comes from what Ivan said and what you asked. It is painful to come here and spend 2 hours discussing why we were paid and were not paid. I should be coming here to give my viewpoint on how society is run, how we can improve in ABCD, in sanitation, and many problems that affect our people. When I was growing up, I tried to read about universities. I studied in a very remote school in Jinja there, but my target was to go to university. And the reason why I wanted to go to university is because there were professors there. So I found out what professors do. And they said professors are custodians of knowledge. They give knowledge on every aspect of life. And I said, where do they derive their understanding? They derive their knowledge from the likes of Plato, the likes of all the philosophers who were there in the Greek society. One time I read an article in papers, and the Kalinachi Kalinachi was writing about universities, and he said that it is bizarre that these days you don't see a professor coming up to raise issues that are affecting election, that are affecting the society, that are affecting health. They are rising up every time, struggling for their stomachs. So you spend a lot of time thinking about what you are going to eat. And once you restrict yourself at a level of eating, then the thinking slips. So to answer your question, universities are supposed to be leading society in generating knowledge that resolve problems that affect society at different times. I come from the Department of History and Political Science, and our role there at the university is to try to look at the origin of things and try to show the experiences of human life and how man has been living together to resolve the problems of today and tomorrow. In the science sector, the same thing. People are supposed to be looking at solutions to problems. And therefore, coming here, I should be coming to say, for example, we have just come out of an election, very angry people. Because if you move on our streets right now, it doesn't show a country of happy people. Because if we were happy, we wouldn't be having police everywhere, guarding people, making sure that they don't rise up. Why do they want to rise up? It's because they are angry. There are certain things that have happened that they are not happy with. So somebody in government or anywhere should be inviting me to try and think about what would be the problem. Why should we come out of an election and people are very angry? They have voted the president. We are very happy. I mean, we should be very happy waiting for May 12th to swear in. Why should people be angry? Why should one group be saying that go and agitate? Agitate for what? We have elected. If we have elected, we go back home and start planning for another election. But that's not possible. So universities are supposed to be providing those ideas to improve such things. I'm just giving one side. We have just come from very difficult time of COVID. And I think this is the country, the time people understood the importance of science. But at the same time, discovered that science alone cannot resolve problems. And therefore, we wanted some experts. Those experts are supposed to be created by university spaces. Lastly, universities are centers of growth. You know me, I was telling somebody that even if I did not go to a university to do a particular course, even if I had just been taken there, I used to sleep in Micho. And I sleep in Micho, wake up in the morning, go and eat. I would get out of that place a better person. Because you get people from all over the place, from the whole of Uganda, of different ages, different understanding of things, even from other countries. And you are together there. And they shape your thinking. At the time you leave that place, we used to have a man there, I don't know whether you found him, called the General Mawa.
No.
You would look at that man and you don't want to be like him. You just don't want to be like him. He was a university student who used to look like a madman. But give him a chance to speak. He would speak a lot of sense. So I came to understand that people are funny. So a university really is a space that should be allowing brain to grow, brain to transform, and this brain keeps on transforming. For us, we refer ourselves as permanent students. We keep learning. And just to answer a small thing about what Evelyn said and my colleague here about the students, there is nobody who feels for a student like his teacher. We spend sleepless nights preparing for students. And if you have not prepared, and that's why you see in Uganda here it's not a very big deal, but in Europe, most university lecturers do not have families. I don't know whether you know. They don't have families because most of the time you are thinking about the student. You are doing research, you are marking students' work. Let me tell you, we are on industrial action, but we are helping students. We are helping students on many things. I've just been guiding a student to develop his proposal. We really, but I was not helping as a lecturer, but now as a parent, I think this person should get this. And many of our colleagues are doing this. The only thing you're not seeing them doing is picking chalk and going to the blackboard or in the laboratory. So really, we feel for students, and the students feel for us. There is an symbiotic relationship between these two. You cannot separate them. And I want to assure them that once this problem is solved, we are going to settle this. Somebody talked about parents in this country, especially when it comes to university. I get surprised. Even those who have gone through university, parents, they detach themselves from the university environment. So a parent asks you, let me use his profession, just to use his profession. You know them, they like introducing themselves. I am Counsel so and so. Say, so Counsel, what is the problem? I want to inquire. This coursework fee, how much is it? And ask him, what are you talking about? That coursework fee, that my son has told me or my daughter that there is a coursework fee. I say, what is that, Counsel? What is that? I say, they are saying they want 300,000 for coursework fee. I ask them, when you were at the university, didn't you do coursework? He says, yes. Did you pay for it? That no. Hey, why do you want to pay for it now? And yet the university is just a stone throw. Why don't you walk to the head of department's office and know what your student needs to be in the university in that semester? They don't want to go there. So we are requesting that parents get interested in the learning of their children. My mother is a graduate, is a P4 graduate. She's a graduate, but P4. But this woman, when I would go back from the university, would ask for a report. I had really to explain that in the university we don't get reports. So in the next semester, I had to go to the faculty and get results to take to her. And that's when she was convinced that, yes, you are studying. P4 graduate. Their PhDs, their what here in Kampala here, parents, they don't know that their students have gone, their sons and daughters have gone to school. They wait for graduation. Only the date of graduation, they even they buy the gowns, only to reach there. They listen to the names, and the name is not read. Then he asks a neighbor, how come mine has not been read? Says, you did not finish. Says, is it possible? So really, if parents, we are not saying parents should come and pay our salaries and do other things, but if they were concerned, if they followed the learning of their children, maybe even the leaders at the university would think about them differently. I am saying this because I am a head of department, and you receive a lot of pain when people are asking questions and you say, excuse me, you told me you are who? Says Dr. Muhwezi Sam from Lago. I say, oh, Muhwezi, you don't know these things. I'm sorry, really. Come to the office. I don't have time. Please get time. So the students, our students study under very difficult circumstances, I must tell you. I was in Tanzania. That's where I did my PhD from, at the University of Dar es Salaam. I also once in South Africa for fellowship for 1 year. I've been in very many countries. There are no places where you go and find students suffering like in Uganda. The students are almost on their own. Sometimes they come, and they have come from my village in Maweito. They want to study. He doesn't know where he's going to get fees, but he says, let me try. Maybe chance will come out and maybe I succeed. They come and they find all sorts of problems at the university. She has talked about the girl child. The girl child is suffering at the university. And for us who stay with them very close, we know these problems. You can look at a girl and you know this one has a lot of problems. But you have no solutions. So we really bother. We think that we should help them. But you cannot help students when yourself, you are helpless. So we are seeing that let's sort out this problem. And as Evelyn said, I think if we were serious people, the lecturer, let me also call them, Chairman, you will allow me call them today lecturers, the students, the parents, and the government, if we are serious people, this is a problem that would have resolved before the beginning of this year. Because I want to tell you, there is no office that we have not reached. If there is any office out there that we have not reached that is concerned with this problem, you can give information and say you are lying, you did not come here. We went so low. We went, I remember during COVID, they were not allowing vehicles. we had to walk on foot to go to these ministries to speak to them. This thing is going to cause a problem. Let's resolve it. They say, why don't you give up? Now, for us as leaders, it's very, very difficult.
I think the timing was wrong because then we're trying to fight a pandemic. But
No.
then you also
the pandemic was being fought by a task force. They had put a task force that was dealing with the pandemic. You can't tell me that UPDF went to sleep. Uganda police went to sleep.
Either way, that's why officials were in office.
Yeah, people were working, people were doing,
That's why they were,
the economy was running, the budget was read, the parliament went on,
But I also agree with
and
you.
so many things.
We can't ignore the hugest percentage that of a population. We must still, be able to plan for them.
We did.
Yeah,
We
must
did.
be able to
We did
Anyway,
plan. For us,
what took us to the ministry that time was that there was a cake that had been given, and they were distributing it in a very unfashionable way, knowing that after they have done so, we will be the ones to take the blame. So one of the chairs, the auditor, walked from Chanja to the Ministry of Education to inform them that what you're trying to do will cause problems.
But I think before we go for a break, right there, I think possibly it's a question to you, Doctor. Maybe the lecturers have not done enough in offering, because we're talking about solutions.
What is enough?
You need to be seen as offering guidance. You need to be seen in the public, developing position papers, doing some research that is guiding. Not many, because there's a survey, of course, that is there that's not even less than 15% of the professors out there have come out and have done commendable job in offering research that is guiding the committee.
I would also want to comment and say, if the work is there, do they even
if they really do that, then you would want to
The
see.
population?
Can I give information to the public? In the Eastern Central, there is no country that develops policy like Uganda, and that the policy is informed by those papers that you're talking about, the researches that we do. If you go to World Bank right now, the data that is there about poverty, the data that is there about diseases, the data that is there about debt, the data that is there about everything is done mainly by these professors and lecturers. Only that for us, we don't so much drum for ourselves. We do the work quietly there, and the ministry takes the work, or the UBOS takes the work, you just need to know how much work has been done by the Water Read project in Makerere University on diseases, infectious diseases in sub-Saharan Africa. Our data, our knowledge is now being used in other countries as information that is guiding a lot of things. If you go to Rwanda got most of their policies from Uganda. Here they just took our decentralization policy and took it the other side and implemented it. These days again I hear that people live here, LC3 chairpersons and other ones, to go and benchmark Rwanda and see how Rwanda is doing things. But the knowledge came from here. So if you go to a hospital in South Africa, if you go to a hospital in Nairobi, you will be shocked to find the Ugandans who are there doing very great job. So what would be the problem?
We are not already.
The problem is just us organizing ourselves and making sure that we focus on issues that affect people and put the right people there. The right people there. You have given us an opportunity today to come and express ourselves here. I normally watch TV and I ask myself, don't these people have better guys to call to speak about issues? So they call a man and he's talking and you say, okay. So you may think that the professors, I heard one time on TV and somebody was saying, what are these researchers doing? Have they done any research on rice? Have they done any research on maize? You just need to go to Kawanda and see what people have developed. What people have, this upland rice, people have done a lot of research on it. It works. If people followed, for example, and abandoned the rice that is now spoiling our wetlands, the wetland rice, because we have discovered that rice can do well in upland. Why do you grow it in wetlands to spoil? But the problem is not ours, and we don't have the power. Maybe what you are saying, you would want an academic coup.
Thank you very much. we shall start from there. Let's have a simple break of about just a simple break. Then we get back to we'll start from you, Ivan.
Okay.
You've been hitting with this discussion. Let's have a simple break, then get back. Welcome back from that short break. Like we said, we are proceeding with a discussion on industrial action in the high institutions of learning. On my panel here, I have distinguished guests that we've been having some interesting discussion of the break that has been ongoing on the issue of research and the university lecturers trying to be at the center of it. This conversation is live on all our social media pages on YouTube, Civic Space TV, the chat show. It's a trending hashtag that we need to go and you share your thoughts there. You put your thoughts there. We shall capture them on Facebook. Kindly do that. That's where the conversation is ongoing virtually, because now this is a physical one, but we need to go virtually. So we've been having a conversation from the break and here off the camera. I need us to get back to Ivan. You had something to say from picking from what Dr. Ojambo said.
Thank you so much, Demian. I think we would be unfair to blame the academic staff for not contributing, yet we do not want to read what they write as a contribution to our society. But also, we have to accept that our reading culture as a country has greatly deteriorated over time. That we have a lot of research lying idle in our libraries today that is not even looked at. We are now used to an education of handouts at our different photocopiers across our universities. And to me, it's a disease. Growing up, we used to read novels. We used to read novels and discuss them. Today, when you ask a young person at the university today whether they did literature or not about Ngugi wa Thiong'o's decolonizing the mind, you might get surprised. When you ask them about sections of our library at Mackay University, you will get shocked. Our public libraries and spaces in the different cities, name them across the country, are they active? Recently, I saw a senior citizen who tried to rehabilitate a library in the north. Are we serious about our reading culture? So I want to agree with Doctor that research is there. They've done tremendous work. But how many read? How many authors like Ijuka has done, like my friend Priska Monjin have done? Young people in their in their 20s, writing books about their experiences, about what they think and thoughts. Do we even read them? Right. Do we pass on positive criticism to their work? How many young people write articles in our newspapers or on their social media to trigger thought and to moot ideas? Do we by the time I joined Mackay University, we had the Bimeza, the popular Bimeza. We used to meet at the old guild canteen to discuss issues, of which that would mean how we respond to the university administration over issues of their policies that would affect students. I am aware that President Obote used to move to Makerere to engage students in debates around the main hall and the quadrangle of arts. Where do we value? Does government take what the academia says serious? So we have to take a deeper soul search as a nation and where we want to be. Otherwise,
maybe one would argue that because we have this technology, there's a lot of literature and a lot of information that gets to these smartphones, and you would not completely say that people don't read, but the researchers doing enough to make sure that this information is packaged well and shared on these smartphones and what? Because you cannot really dismiss the fact that people are reading. Because smartphones, there's a lot of content. There's a lot now, including that now we have fake news. A lot of fake news that is, but people are consuming it and taking it as real news. Are we doing much as researchers, academians, into sharing this information?
I want to tell you that even on social media, which you allude to, if you want to know that not all read and the very few read, when you post, I love my social media accounts and I usually test it out. When you post 2 lines, 3 lines, they get more likes because that is less than a minute to read. When you try to post a paper that is 20 pages, 30 pages, they will want a summary of that. In law, we have what we call case notes. The humble summary of the entire judgment or ruling. But those are not enough. They are to the lazy ones, because you miss a lot in the arguments, in the content and the reasoning of the court. So I think we need to encourage ourselves to read, and this is to you, my fellow young people, is that we must invest in reading. He who has no knowledge has no right to speak or write.
If I may, Demian, if I may, I think I would be intrigued if there was research out there on the social media activity of especially the young people. Now, you're saying we have these smartphones. Yes, everybody seems to have them right now. But what are they actually using these smartphones for? It will be social media, WhatsApp. It will be Facebook. It will be Instagram. And for the girls, it will be Snapchat. Now, I don't know if, and back to the research that you mentioned, I don't know how we're going to have to tailor it so that the young people, either we make it visual, either we are creative around all this research we are doing, so that it captures the generation now. Because the millennials are not interested in they're not. Unfortunately, that's where the bank of knowledge is. But how many are actually interested? Bwowe mentioned, when I wrote my book, I was about 2021. It's about 500 plus pages. But how many will sit down to write something to trigger their minds to think? Then I was in my second year or so at MOBS. But how many will actually trigger themselves to write something, to trigger their minds to a discussion? I remember the time you were guild president, I was chief fresher. And then later, the rest is history. But we had occasions that would have roundtable discussions. Now, few of the young people want that discussion. Few of the young people want knowledge-seeking conversations. They're interested in something. So, as academia, I think I would want to throw it to us that now we know the generation we're working with. Can we draft something that can be appealing to them? Or can we see how best we can tailor all this research and do some footnotes for the lazy? No, if I may, and before I
Dr. Deus, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to react about that. You conclude it because
I think for me we have to go to the fundamentals. Because the millennials are being looked at as a special group. Yes, it presents itself. But what if it was a special group of people that are as a result of our errors?
Yeah.
That are as a result of our mistakes? I think we have to go back and because to me, reading is very important. Whether summarized, because still, we have a generation of pamphlets. People who, I read Nirkon and Parker and all these books from one page to the last. And I enjoyed the thought process and it empowered me. But most of these young people read pamphlets. So we made mistakes. And now you want to say, that's a generation we must accept. Maybe we can go back and retool it instead.
Yeah.
Because it seems people who read, and these are people out there, may end up ruling these very unserious, may end up actually, these unserious people who think they are in a trend, may end up being swallowed and dramatized by the world, by those who take time to read and internalize things, and engage their thoughts and also construct thought process, and they may end up, so if the millennials are willing to, you know, and I've liked the president, they like going to bars, they take photos. If those are the ones you want to concentrate on to teach and should be, to align ourselves, because they are a product of our own mistakes that we made along the way. And I think, to me, we should go back and reform this education system in a way that a family, and I've argued sometimes the church, because it's the biggest controller also beyond government, that we look at a way of redoing this generation, which we cannot maybe successfully, the one that, but the new one, the new African child can be redone. And we can't take chances and then follow this trend and then be seriously taken on by, who knows, dictators who read and internalize things and then hold you together. Then we'll be building for violence also. So reading is very important. Information is very important. We can't possibly package it in a way of pamphlets. We'll be exacerbating the already terrible situation. But you are right. Maybe for some message, for now, we need to see how to manage, because this information is important. We need to get to them. But fundamentally, they should also be taken to reform centers, the way the Chinese are doing to the Uyghurs.
You're right.
And because they are unserious. I mean, you cannot manage affairs of society in a pubbish mood, in some kind of lazy, you know. Otherwise, then you'll be there yapping all the time.
But Doctor, if I may,
let's first dig deeper into industrial action. Yeah. Yes. Now, Doctor, back to you. Then I want Dr. Ojambo to also react on that. What are the main concerns of the teaching and non-teaching staff
in this industrial action?
Yes, that you think should be brought out into what really causes the industrial action.
The one we are on is basically by pay and pay-based discrimination and the unfortunate handling of our affair, which we had agreed on for a long time. And I think those who opted for a change without consulting us also know that in theory or even in practice, it would result into an agitation of some kind. And so at the moment, it's pay. And like I told you, if this pay issue is dealt with once and for all, there will be significant, because we will move towards a basic pay, some kind of attractive basic pay, and then we'll see with an improved industrial relations component. But beyond this, let me tell you, after this, if, for example, we totally kept quiet, the next struggle will be on our promotions. And that, already this irregularity is going to make promotions very difficult to achieve. Like in Makerere, in the next 2 years, I expect that over 200 staff would have applied, if this remains, will have applied to be associate professors. And I'm very sure they will be tossed, because they would be told there's no budget. Already they are being told that there's no budget, even when there is the small differential. Now, issues at hand is pay right now, and it's the one I want to focus on. And under it are a myriad of problems that may accrue or may lead us into further agitations into the future. So I don't want to go into many other.
Is there anything he has left out, Doctor?
No.
Fine. Okay, now to the students. What are the causes of really strikes in the students, which I would want at least both of you to react upon? But to Ivan, who has been at the forefront of most of the strikes.
I have been a commander, and one of the most important things as a commander is that you must define the problem and problematize the problem. In my view, things that lead to industrial action and strikes in universities are mainly three or four. Welfare, students and staff, communication, public funding, and then leadership. Perfect. Four.
I wouldn't agree anymore with him.
Four. And when I talk about these things, they are in sync. It's a chain. That today, me as Bwowe Ivan, a student, I want to study. But I know he cannot teach me, or he cannot teach me, or they cannot teach me without them being okay. You cannot give what you don't have. When there is that problem and we have a break in communication or we have dishonest communication, then we receive different messages at different times for different people. Then definitely it will be a strike. Leadership, the purpose of any leader, one is to find solutions to problems, to engage those you don't even agree with in principle or philosophically, to come to a compromise. Unfortunately, that usually lacks a lot with the egos that come with titles and offices leaders hold.
We are nearing the end, so I want
and funding. I think we have to be specific with funding. Public universities are a major responsibility of government in terms of funding. But that does not mean that universities and the leaders in universities should not devise means on how to boost finances of public universities by transforming themselves into entrepreneurial universities, not as, because usually when it comes to funding, they look at two directions: students, government. I mean, we need an attitudinal change over funding and financing of universities. Because, for example, I'll argue, and I've argued, that, for example, Mackay University is the richest institution in Uganda. It has all factors of production. But are they put to good use? That is a question for everyone. So we have to have an attitudinal change and go. Universities, University of Nairobi, talk about universities, Harvard, whatsoever, any, they are beyond students' fees and government and grants, and they are beyond that. They are making business. So that said, I think I have diagnosed the problem and where it is in terms of what is the problem.
Do you want to add on that?
Yes, something small. I agree with him entirely. I wouldn't want to fall far from what he mentioned as the issues that usually make the students strike. We all agree that all stakeholders have a huge role to play in curbing this, the industrial action that is hampering most of what we all agree is a key sector, which is education. If before I maybe we can wrap this up. Before we wrap it up, I would want to appeal to the student. People, stakeholders, maybe government, maybe management are going to try and fine tune whatever it is. I mean, ultimately they always forge a way forward, and universities and students go to learn. But as a student, as somebody who is seeking knowledge. You're at university for a reason. Your parent has paid that money for a reason. I want to challenge every student out there, regardless of the levels, by the way, whether it's university or primary. Let me actually now make it very open. If you're a student, I want to just challenge your brain. Whether somebody has come to lecture you or not, take keen interest. They usually give us a course outline. You know what you're going to try and interest your mind. Trigger your mind to read a little bit more, even before you get to this class, even before you actually interface with this lecturer. Whereas we want you to sort the issues, whereas we want the stakeholders informed, to sort whatever is there. But even you as a student, interest yourself, learn. Use this time. Don't just Snapchat, WhatsApp, whatever it is. No. There are places, hotspots that have free internet. I know internet is a huge issue. Maybe it's also another factor we can talk about another time. But the small internet or the few MBs you have, interest yourself to read something. Get a book, read something. Put some knowledge in your nut. Have some meaningful conversations. And I mean, at the end of the day, it helps you. And maybe, Doctor, later, this will be a discussion for later. What if we don't have to refine these millennials, but also maybe study the uniqueness they have, and we see how to harness it? It's a discussion we can have later, but I think as a generation,
I think they have unique. They are very unique, very creative, very fast.
Absolutely.
But you cannot possibly found that on very loose information system.
Again, it's discussion.
It is a very serious issue, unless you want to make them ponies for imperial interests. But learning and digging information, studying society, and being committed to hard work, and I think they are prime. But in terms of their creativity, their speed, we have to harness that.
Absolutely.
But we can't possibly say that laziness is one area we can tap into.
Doctor, also we need to agree. We need to agree that years back and before then, universities used to do a lot of research, and they used to attract quite a lot of funding from non-state actors, from donors who would want to engage, and also they used to inject a lot of money, Makere, by the way, through MUASA and what, there's a lot of money that comes in. That's why I've been asking this question, that don't you think that that's when we need to say, okay, universities can really stand on their own, not really to depend on government, but they should be left to do, especially public universities, to do their own research, attract funding, and possibly that's when some of these, I'm seeing some notice here, of course, by the non-teaching staff also are joining into your action. Could this funding help really pay salaries of these people? There's a lot of money out there, other than depending on government.
So, but also you must understand the national formation processes. Maybe a little bit. To me, a national system of political economy must define all these building blocks in a way that that a nation must define where it wants to find itself into the future.
Yeah.
And these pillars, education, economics, are critical areas of definition. So we must not take them lightly. And also we must not dramatize the process of it. So back to the money, can't we leave them alone? I used to like Professor Dr. Ezra Suruma, and I think Nyerere used to say this quite often. There is no developing economy that will ever stabilize and thrive without very serious support of government.
Yeah.
You can leave these to stand alone, but they need a basis on which then they can play at national level and international level. Otherwise, if you leave us, we can get the money, but we will
because
get,
it is clear now that government does. It finds it hard to fund.
We will get
Why
you
then
money
don't
from New York, and we will sell ourselves. But is that what you're interested in? That we become an extension of New York and London?
I have argued
Don't
before.
we have to focus also on research or studies of national significance, where we define ourselves as nations?
I have argued before that actually education is one element if we want to actually develop as a nation, that we have to fund from our national coffers, because it determines where this country is going to be. For every country that has developed, it has sorted its education system. For every country that wants to develop and has been in a crisis, talk of Germany, post-Nazi, their education was tailored. It had to be sorted to take Germany to a post-Nazi. And you see what is happening in Germany.
One of the best in the world now.
Japan, when it needed more land and more space, their education had to be tailored to get more space from the sea. South Korea,
Singapore.
Talk of any country. Talk about USA in 1928 after the economic depression. Look at what they are doing today to sort out the effects of the pandemic and through the education and their economic troubles. So the only disappointment I have today in Uganda is that we do not seem to understand the veracity and the importance of education in national development.
Thank you very much. Now, as we are turning to conclusion now, Dr. Ojambo, I need us to, in a way of concluding, and before we give our final remarks, what needs to be done, especially in public universities, by both government and the administration, to ensure that this situation is capped?
Yeah, Damian, they say that even when you are mourning, you must have some laughs. You must laugh. I think right now it is clear that there is a problem. Anybody who thought that this was a joke, you can no longer take it as a joke. It is serious that there are two differing opinions. The academic staff are saying that the way the money was disputed was improper, and government had insisted that for them they did the right thing. So we must come to a middle point. We must come to a middle point and understand this problem and resolve it. For the academic staff, for them their request is just do a prorata. Once you do a prorata, we start from there and then start sorting out some of the problems that my chairman talked about. So for us, we have been open to negotiations, only that we cannot negotiate with ourselves. For us, ourselves, these universities have debated these matters. When you check on our forums now, there is a lot of debate. People are bringing a lot of ideas, but those ideas are just falling into the sea. The stakeholders need to be serious, the university management. In the struggle of salary enhancement, the university management has been on the sides. I was only shocked that last year's budget, when they gave them to be the best beneficiaries, they were very happy. And that's why maybe some vice chancellors are behaving the way they are doing. Some vice chancellors, I'm sorry to say, these are behaving like RDCs. For some of you, you know what RDCs do. They are security chairmen in the district there, and the land protectors and so on. The vice chancellors are expected to be providing solutions to problems. They should have now spoken to government or to the ministry and said, look, there is a problem here. We have to resolve this problem. And we don't have just a bullet to this problem. We are not saying bring money and put it on the table there, then we go and teach. There must be something leading to a solution. Even if that solution is going to be in a year's time, even if that solution is immediately, but there must be a solution. We can't just be there shouting and then we say, okay, since now there are a lot of problems, we can go back and do this and this. We shall be deceiving ourselves. We need a platform in which we can look at the problems and look at the possible solutions, and we take the best solution and we get out of this matter. All of us want to do our service. The students want to learn. They are bound by time. These guys are growing. They have already lost 1 year. they want to go and do other things in their life. Even us, we are growing. We want to go and do other things in our lives. Let me tell you, we metamorphosize ourselves through students. If students are not doing well, we are in trouble. We're in big, big trouble. There's no way I'm going to be promoted to associate professor if I am not doing my work and maybe other things that I need to do in life. So I really want to call upon three parties to come into this matter, and that is university management. And when we talk about university management, we're talking about the vice chancellors. They should come up with a solution and see how we start talking. Number two is government. Because government are our employers. In fact, for us, we don't have any problem with management. We have a problem right now with our employers. The president already gave a promise in 2014, and I think he has very good memory, still remembers this thing. He affirmed this on 19th of December 2019 in State House, and he was speaking to us. We thought this had been sealed. Can somebody in the Ministry of Education, in the Ministry of Public Service, and in the Ministry of Finance sit together and resolve these problems? The lecturers or the academic staff are the other party. We want the lecturers to keep firm. We are resolving this problem, and we feel that they should continue giving us feedback, information on what we should do. Of course, they have already given their verdict. We are acting on their resolutions. So they should continue supporting and giving a verdict. And finally, the students. I have always been saying that, you see, there was a question here of timing. I think we could never get any other time when this problem would be resolved. Unfortunately, the problem came with COVID, and therefore we have to move. The problem is a twin to COVID. They have to live. Kato, Waswa, they have to live together, and we sort them out. We feel really that we are going to make up for the time we have lost, and we shall help you to help us. So colleagues out there and the public, we are in really good faith. We are not as greedy as people think we are, that we are maybe looking for more money and so on. We are just saying, no. Give us what was promised in 2014 in a pro rata manner, and we can keep on like that as we grow our economy. Maybe things will be better. So we really hope that somebody out there is going to take a responsibility. There must be somebody taking responsibility to make sure that this problem is resolved.
Thank you, Doctor. I think now let's get into, give you, each of you, 30 seconds to wrap up this conversation, giving your final remarks. I think now you've spoken like the real PR of the forum, and really that has captured everything and your conclusion, literally. So I would want to possibly let us go from that angle. You give your 30-second take as you conclude and give your final remarks, and we conclude the debate for today, the conversation.
Thank you so much for this discussion, because it's good not for staff that are on an industrial action, but it's good for the country. Now I want to be more pointed. Minister of Education, Minister of Finance, get your act to order and sort out this problem. Because I do not want, I am laboring so hard, I do not want to mobilize students again over we demanding to study. We understand the plight of our teachers, and please sort them out. That's all we want. We want to study. We've lost a lot of time. Losing more time is not in our best interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Idli?
Thank you so much from the organizers. I wish to say thank you for the opportunity, but also encourage you to put more ladies, not just me alone. The subsequent discussions could have 2 or 3 females and maybe 2 gentlemen, and since the moderator is a man, maybe two, and maybe we get
just for
to
guidance. We couldn't get all the ladies that we wanted. I think they were busy, but our premier engagement had two ladies, also well balanced. We try to take exception to that.
The feminism in us occasionally pops up, but we thank you. We thank you for the opportunity. We thank you. I thank the fellow discussants. I think it was very informative, and to the president. Now, in our setup, it's quite unfortunate that he gets to sign off on most of these things. Now, for us, as Vazukuru, we are requesting that we want to study for us. As the Vazukuru, we are requesting the grandfather of this nation to sort these small issues. I mean, there's nothing too big. You can sort this, you can guide, you can give a directive, and they will certainly see it through. We want to study, we want to be very important citizens in this country. We want more knowledge, and we are ready to actually see it through. But we are calling upon you, we are calling upon all stakeholders, and thankfully they are promising us that as soon as some promise comes through, we shall be able to get there. And it's quite unfortunate that if something is not promised, then they will bombard the students with so much information, and it will not be as taken in as we should have learned. So thank you, but please see it through. Thank you so much.
Dr. Deus, you're the chairperson of two forums, the MUASA and the FASPO. Your final take.
For MUASA, I know that my colleagues out there are wondering whether to succumb to the force of terror by those who hold positions of responsibility, or to stick to their rights as protected by the law. I encourage you that the decision you made was well thought out, and we are honoring it as leaders, and we will continue leading you on its path. And the whole of FASIP universities, I wish to thank them for cooperation, because as leaders, when such a problem is raised by those you lead, you must show cause, you must lead, and we will try to negotiate as much as we can to bring everything to an end. And for vice chancellors, I plead with you to stop dramatizing this situation and politicize it. We are sensible people, and I think you have not only the local audience, but you also have international audience. You cannot possibly be politicians. Sit and listen to your colleagues who are academics and sort things out the academic way. And to the president and government, I request you kindly to look into these matters that you have always sorted, and make sure that those who serve you are not dramatized by the sinister motives of others. I say this with a heavy heart, because I see the problems which affect society and affect citizens are as a result of those in position of responsibility, whose job has been largely dramatizing society other than solving the problems we have. I thank you, Citizen TV, for inviting us to discuss this important matter. It's a matter of citizenship, and we hope soon it will end and we'll go back and do our work diligently.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and thank you very much, my panelists. Just to put a disclaimer, we tried to get to the government from the Ministry of Education to have at least a representative, so that we can have a balanced conversation and hearing from the side of the government. But I don't know, for some reason they're all busy, they couldn't get to us. But I think this conversation is still ongoing, because these issues are still rising, and the action is still on, the industrial action is still, it's just started. So I think we shall have these discussions to ensure that we at the end of the day come to a conclusion and also agree and harmonize, because then students have to go back to school, lecturers have to do their work, they have to provide the service, And of course, we need to live in that space that is beneficial, and also try to be comfortable and leveled for all of us. So from today, I've been your host, Demian Masesa, for the Civic Space and TV and the Citizens Chat Show. These conversations are ongoing, and they will continuously happen every Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. So follow these conversations on our channels, the Civic Space TV, YouTube channel, Facebook live Facebook, and the Twitter, also the hashtag the Chat Show Uganda. I remain your host today, and I say thank you and good evening for God and my country.